Good morning, everybody. We're going to be doing one of these 4 flowers in this video. Check it out. Good morning, and oh no, you know what one? That's the one. Sunflower is the one that won. This is my quick little rundown. Welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie, and I am excited to get started and didn't realize that I had left the picture right there up. Yep, we're going to do a sunflower today. This is what my tally looked like, and I know that I have folks that really wanted the rose and really wanted the carnation, so you know that I'm going to do them with you, right? We're going to do them, but they're not going to be today. Today is just the sunflower, and then Monday is going to be the rose, and Wednesday will be the carnation. So, and lavender is going to get stuck in there somewhere because that's my favorite. I am happy that you're here. I hope that you are excited to get started on this. I'm checking out the chat here. Good morning. I see Nancy and Gina and MD Glass Painter. Sarah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being here. If you're new, make sure and click that subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified when I go live and share new videos with you. If you are interested in really quick 1-minute videos, I also do real-time 1-minute videos on Tangy, and I have a blog post about that. And whoa, sorry about that. And I am really excited about it. It's a Google product also. It's being worked out in their Area 120, which is sort of the place where the Google grows baby programs. So Tangy is a baby program right now that's growing up. And so yay, good morning, Nikki. And wow, more people are coming in. Let's get started on this. So we're doing the sunflower. And look at that. I did this one without a reference. And then I found that reference picture. Pretty darn close, eh? So I think that sunflowers are one of my favorite things to draw. Just because it has all kinds of fun little petals. I am going to do the quick lesson on how to draw the sunflower first, and then we'll draw it bigger on a 5.5 by 7. So let's go to our close-up view. When you're doing a sunflower, the easiest way I've found is to put a circle in for the center, whatever direction you want that to be. I'm going to draw darker on here than you would. You don't have to draw darker. It can be odd shaped. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Then outside of that, however long you want your petals to be, give yourself another circle. And basically we made a donut. This is really super quick and easy, guys. Fast and fun. I'm just going to basically do this one in pencil. Well, no, I'll do the pen so you can really see it. So I gave myself my guidelines. I drew a donut. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate when you guys all share. This is my center. Now the center is going to be a bumpy edge circle. And remember, we're doodling, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's try that side view. Let's see, did I give it the... No, we'll stay with the top. We'll stay with the top. I love how international our group is. So we've got our side view of the circle, and if you look at the center, and if you look at this reference right here, that center actually has another roughly ring, doesn't it? This outside bit is all just sort of fluffled in. This is actually where the seeds are going to grow, but this is an early sunflower, so it doesn't have the seeds in the center yet. And let me make that bigger for you. For my center, what I'm doing is I'm doing little swirlies and sort of stacking them up, going around in that center bit right there. Yay. All right. So we're going to just get those little center extra flowers that are in the very center. If you ever look at the center of a sunflower, the tops of each of those little seeds looks like a little flower, but we're not worried about that. Now we've got that extra circle that's going out, and I'm going to draw a long tapered petal, and I'm going from that center right here all the way out to the edge, and I'm not going to make all of them perfect, and I'm not going to make all of them match. And you notice I'm leaving space. I'm doing that so that we can tuck petals in behind. So there we go. We've got sunflower petals going in, and this is one of those doodles that you can do a whole field of sunflowers. None of them have to look the same. Isn't this great? I love it. I think I want to fit a couple more. They can be a little longer than our circle, and they can start overlapping or underlapping. To get a petal that's going under, you're going to start at the center here, go out, but see how close I am here? If I tried to make a whole petal, it would go over the top. So what I'm going to do is just draw my line until I hit a petal. Now we've got a petal that's underneath. I can do that on this one also. Draw the petal until it hits. And to get that one in the very back, just make a little V. Now you've got a whole bunch of petals all stacked up with each other. So I'm going to just quickly be drawing these in because this is our sample. This is the one that we're learning what we're doing. Uh-oh. Okay, I have been noticing in this tube of pens, and I love these pens, but this particular tube, I've had a couple pens that even though it's full, the tip is like clogging. So I'm going to have to figure out maybe soaking the tip in rubbing alcohol will break it loose. Yeah, draw those guidelines. They just give you a start, a place to start and stop without having to worry about eyeballing it every single time. And you notice how sometimes my petals get a little bit blobby next to where I stop. No big deal. That just becomes a shadow mark. And wow, good morning. Hey guys, if you're new, make sure and click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified when new videos go up. I am posting live videos right now during this interesting time in the world. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, if I want a petal to be kind of turned up on its edge, I'm going to draw my line. And then I'm going to make that line narrow next to it. And I'm going to come back. And now, that's like this is curled over. It would be like that petal is going, like this is the inside of the petal here. And then this is where the outside of that petal is. We're not going to do a ton of detail. You can totally detail these up looking at that reference right there. you can see how some of those petals are twisted. So we're just going to give a little twist. See? You don't have to twist all of them. They don't all have to be perfectly straight. Some can be just slivers on an edge. And I'm just going to work my way around. There we go. Because we're going to draw a whole nother sunflower. So this one is our sample, so that we can test out our petal making, get used to drawing petals. And now, you see how this side right here really grew long? I'm just going to tuck some more petals in. Just random. And now it's making it more full. This is a little sparse right here. I'm just going to throw another petal in. And maybe another one. See? Doodles. You're not limited. There's no restrictions here. The only restrictions are what you put on yourself. You are a creative person. You joined me here. You must be creative, right? Even if you didn't think you were, you are. You've got all kinds of ideas in your head that you want to learn how to do. Waterproof ballpoint pens. Well, you know, this is a ballpoint. This is actually a tiny micro ball. It's not one of those ones where the ink just pours through the tube, and it doesn't have that little filament that goes through the tube like the micron pens. So this Eco Pen is a micro ball. It's a 0.38. It is waterproof. And what I would do if you have problems with the tube being too narrow, just get one of those little pen grips and slide on it. So the squishy erasers right here, the kneaded eraser is what that's called. And I'm going to go ahead and just take out that. Sunflowers have very sturdy stalks, very sturdy stems, so you can put a stem that's, you know, you wouldn't think you would need to put, but you can put a super sturdy stem on here. And we'll do the leaf in just a minute on the real one. So there, kneaded eraser, sturdy stem, flower. We're going to go to our actual project one now, I think. Don't you think so? So I am looking at this and going, I want to put this big sunflower on here. I'm going to do my outside circle first. And if you squish your circle, that's good, because it gives your pen a place to make your petals not so uniform. Then I'm going to put my center in. And now the petals on that reference right there, the petals on the reference are fairly even though the center is a little bit squished. So, and if you look at the length of the petals on that reference, they're about the same distance from the center here, the center of your center, out to the edge of your center, to the outside edge of your petals. But that's just a reference, a place to shoot for. You're not limited. You can certainly make short petals and long petals. So let's have some fun. Oh, and the stem coming down, nice sturdy stem. So we're going to come down this side. I think I'm going to be putting the leaf on the other side. And this one's got like a little bump. And then the leaf is going to come up right here. And it sort of is bumped up funny. I'm not sure, you know. Oh, I see what I did. There we are. See, you know, sometimes you have to play with it. Now I've got all those lines. That's where the eraser comes in, because we don't need all those lines. Sometimes if you're doing something out of your imagination, even though you have a reference, you lose where you're going. So I'm just going to take that leaf off. I didn't like that. Let's do it this way. We're going to go all the way from the center out. And then we're going to go down and around, down and around, and make it thick. And now I just worked it until it made sense. You don't have to. You don't even have to put a leaf in if you don't want to. But by putting it in first, we got that all figured out. There. And there we go. We're going to put some watercolor on here. So I'm not too worried about making it absolutely perfect, but I don't want to have all those lines. So don't draw super hard. There we go. All right, now we're going to get that center in. And just like we did on our little sample here, we're going to just do a wobbly line all the way around the center. Like that. Then there's the wobbly center here. These are just the seed head bits that haven't, in the center here, that's sort of greenish toned. It's that area that hasn't popped open its little tiny floret. Can we start an ATC club in the group? I'm not really too keen on starting the club, or starting an ATC club, because the Art Sherpa has one, and I am a member of her ATC club, so I don't really want to do one on mine, just because, you know. And not because she owns ATC or anything like that. She doesn't. But, see, I'm wobbling. I'm having a good, fun time. Now, I want mine to feel like those petals back here are kind of curving away. So I'm going to do a little bit of a curved line. I like to hear that I'm describing things well enough for you guys, because, you know, sometimes you never know. I'll know that I described it well when I see your guys' sunflowers. When I see your sunflowers start showing up, I know I described it well. So now it's just a matter of throwing those petals in, making some that are open, you know, wide petals, some that are those little twisted, narrow petals. Tucking some in underneath. This is a bigger flower, so there's more petals. But that's, you know, oh, you know what I might do is over in my Patreon. If enough people in Patreon say, hey, let's do some ATCs, we could do that as a special Patreon thing. Or maybe we'll have yeah, we can exchange ATC cards over in Patreon. So, but it's not going to be open to everybody in the world. just to our patrons. Sometimes you have to have things that are special just for your most dedicated fans. So see, I'm just putting in, these are really, if you look at it in a really broad way here, they're just long wiggly V's. Really long wiggly V. Tuck it in where it makes sense. So maybe I want to have a petal that's doing kind of a weird little hook up. I can do that. See? Little hook up, and then make another line next to it. And then I can make one that's coming down underneath of it. See? Really and truly, all we're doing is drawing lines. Just drawing lines, overlapping the lines some. We're going to put some detail on these with the pen, but not so much. I want to put color on. So I want it to be more colorful than drawn on. So there we go. We're just drawing those petals in. But remember, it is not necessary to make your sunflower look the same as mine. Your sunflower is yours, and if you look at an entire field of sunflowers, you won't find very many that are the same. I don't think you'll find any that are exactly the same. See? When you draw that little extra line on the inside of your petal, it looks like it's curling up a little bit. Well, yeah, so we'll do a Patreon ATC. I like that. We are a fun, smaller, creative group, and there's no need to be afraid of anything when we're exchanging ATCs there. What we'll do is everybody will send the ATCs to me, and I will send the ATCs out to everybody. And we'll talk about it more over on the Patreon. That way, you don't have to worry about giving your address out. And I have a mailbox, a post office box. So that works. All right. Oh, okay. I will post the Patreon link here if you're interested. Here, I will post. Come on, copy. There it goes. We have fun coloring pages. We have a private web page that I post reference photos and fun things for my patrons. Just as a thank you. There we go. All right. And now we're going to just get that nice sturdy stem on. I'm going to come up. And do my leaf. Yeah, I like how kneaded erasers don't tear your paper. They lift your pencil off, and they don't leave a bunch of crumbs. So if you were not interested in doing this with the watercolor of putting your details in, you can go in and start putting some details with your pen. Places where, if your line dips, like right here, you see how that how that's dipped. If I put a few little lines like this, it looks a little bit more shadowed down. If I put little lines where it's coming out from the center, just a few little lines, it starts looking like those petals are actually coming out from underneath of that seed head area. Vary the lines. Don't make them look like you're not drawing pickets on a fence. So give yourself permission to have long lines and short lines. So there we go. And guys, don't feel any pressure about joining the Patreon. It's just where we do some extra things. But my lessons here on YouTube are always going to be free. But the people on Patreon are the ones that are actually helping me give you free lessons. See? And now some of those areas of the petals that are deeper, those can be a little darker. Little shadows. But don't make it a total hard shadow. Just tuck in a little shadow. Thicken up the line just a little bit. Go, oh, that spot right there is between petals. You see how that starts making it more and more real feeling? Without it being real, without it being a total realism, it's not. This is pen and ink, and this is for fun and relaxation. That's why I call my drawings doodles. Because I really try not to put any type of pressure on my little drawings, my little doodles. And a doodle is just a drawing that you're not putting pressure on to be perfect. If this didn't turn out, even though I'm doing it live for you guys, you would see, oh, that's where she went wrong. Or, oh, that's where I could make it different. Or I could make it my own. See how we're starting to get shape there? Not worried about perfection. This is also very meditative. You can sit with a cup of tea or coffee or beverage of your choice. You know, it's summertime. Make sure and drink your water. Make sure you're getting enough water in. I'm working really hard at getting my water. Some days are better than others. But I'm just, bopping around here. I'm not too worried about getting this in perfect. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate that you're learning. I hope that you are having fun and that you just give yourself permission to make marks on paper. Even if you're just drawing lines. Really, that's all we're doing. We're drawing lines. We're not, it looks magical, but we're not actually doing any magic. Easily reproducible. That's the way we want it to be. So I'm just putting a few lines on each of the petals, putting some of those shadows in. Oh, and guys, I'm doing live shows every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. And we will be doing, let's see here. We're going to be doing the wild roses on Monday, and we're going to be doing carnations on Wednesday, and lavender is going to get tucked in there with one of those flowers because I like lavender. There we go. So we have our assignment. I'm going to be finding some reference photos. Actually, I have reference photos for the roses that I took in my front yard, because I have some wild roses. Let's see. Let's make that make a little more sense. That's a really wild, wild petal. There. You can have your lines going the length of your petals if you want to. You know, you can put a longer line. Don't make it a hard line. Let your line break. Let your line skip. See how that adds to the sparkly realism of your flowers. Letting those lines break and skip. Because if you're looking at flowers out in the sunlight, there's shine on them. Ah, thank you, Meg. I appreciate that. Anytime people are able to support in a way that makes sense for them, I really appreciate it. So, super chat, you're super, Miss Meg. Thank you. All right. So we're going in and just, oh wow, look at that. It's just zooming into shape here. I did not know that the rose is, thanks. Your Patreon was successful. Yay. Yeah, sometimes when they charge the patron at the beginning of the month, sometimes for some reason it doesn't go through. So it's always nice when folks are able. I never know if it's because a person is backed out, and that's perfectly fine. You know, you can sign up for Patreon for a month. You don't have to do it for months and months. But just know, after the first couple days of the month, if you sign up, it's set up right now so that you don't get charged until the following month. Which Patreon is saying that might be going away, and I might have to switch over to it charges you instantly. I just didn't want people on the last day of the month to sign up and then get charged again right away, because I think that feels a bit sneaky. I never want to feel sneaky about this. This is totally open and above board for what I'm doing. All right. Okay. Almost made it all the way around, and then I'm not even going to put too much detail in that center, just because we're going to put more detail in with the watercolor. And I am just drawing on a piece of 140-pound Arteza watercolor paper. I have a couple nice big packs of it, and I've been cutting down 11 by 14 sheets and making 4 5 by 7 or 5.5 by 7 sheets. And it's much more economical that way. So that's always a tip for your wallet, is buy the biggest pad of paper or sheets of paper that your budget will allow you to buy, and then cut them down to make pieces that are usable for you. Now I'm just putting some little striation type lines, little kind of stripy lines. On the stem, I put some darker shadow right up here underneath of the petals. There is some shadowing on the petal, but you know what? Is okay. You always mess up the center? Okay, so you want to see how I complete the center. Well, first off, I've got a couple more petals here. I'm just going to drop a few little lines on. Get that little bit of a shadow right there. So, the center here. You can make this super, super detailed. The flowers, let's see if we can enlarge that and really see the center. You see how the centers, when we make it really big, you see how there's actually pattern going on here? The very center has like little lines because those little flowers, those little individual stamens haven't opened up. But see how they're just little curlies and there's little straight lines. So curlies and lines, and this very, very center bit here, when we have it small, you end up not seeing, whoops, come on, there. It ends up just being smooth, doesn't it? Or just color. So what I'm doing, I'm looking at this going, that very center bit of that flat center, that is just going to be color. I'm not worried about it. So this little bit right here, this right here, a lot of it is going to be put in with color. So we don't need to put too much detail there. If you want to put some little, just little marks, and yes, they would be in a pattern. And if you, once you start putting your pen down on the paper like this, you're going to notice that your hand wants to do pattern anyway. I work really hard at randomizing, so I'm not going to end up with much of a pattern. But there we go. And they're not just straight dots. I'm making little squiggles too. And when we put our color on, that's where it's really going to come into focus. Right now, this is a little out of focus. There we go. Just a little bit more. There's more shadow up underneath of there. I'll make that a little more shadow. Basically, we're drawing a fluffy donut in the middle of our sunflower right now. A seedy bagel. Ooh. Didn't know that sunflower... Wow, people do put sunflower seeds on bagels. So we're making a seedy bagel in the center here. Am I talking about food because I haven't eaten breakfast yet? That might be. That could very well be. But it's not perfectly organized. See? Make that a little darker even. This is really in the sun though, so we're not too worried about making a lot of shadow. Boomity boom. All right. And now you could leave it like this. Make so patrons, my patrons that are here, do you guys want this as a coloring sheet? I can do that. I can post this up as our July coloring sheet if you like. Or bonus coloring sheets. I think I need to take a picture of it. What do you think? Yeah? I need to take a picture. Get it straight. And there. All right. Now I have a picture. So I can do other things with it. we're going to go ahead and put a few little lines in this leaf. See, I'm kind of sending those lines down towards the spine that's back inside there. This isn't the spine edge here. This is close to it. Spine is actually running, of that leaf is running right down the center inside. So we've got little lines. There we go. See, my thing is that once I start putting lines in, I want to finish the drawing with line work. And that's not what I want to do here. I really want to finish this one with color. So I do have to finish this edge. Okay, stop it. I need to finish this with color. All right. Now let's make that flower reference go smaller. We are going to do this guy in with colored pencils, watercolor pencils. So I just have a handful of some watercolor pencils. I've got vermilion and Tuscan sun and pumpkin orange, a basil green, a spring green, lime green, and then I think I even want, maybe not the rose red. Let's go with the blood orange. So these are the colors I'm going to use. These are the Arteza watercolor pencils. You can do this with regular watercolor also. Actually, isn't it fun how you can get things to look deep so easy? You know what? Now we're going to do it with regular watercolor. More people have regular watercolor. So any watercolor pan, this is just this is the Arteza watercolor pan. It is not, this is just student grade watercolor. It's not anything spectacularly fancy, but it's a good watercolor. I am going to take my water brush, and I think we're going to go ahead and put that center in. So I'm getting my brush wet. I'm running water down. We're going to get that center all nice and wet. And then we're going to take, my yellow has a little bit of a green on it, or blue on it right now. So I'm just going to use that. We're going to drop that into that center, because you know that's where that bright yellow green color is. I'm letting it bleed out, no big deal. I am going to then grab, I'm going to make an orange yellow type color. So I'm taking some of my magenta red and some of that greeny yellow, because I want it to be a little bit less, a little bit subdued, a little bit reduced in color, I guess. Saturation, that was the thing. All right, so we're going to take our kind of orangey color. See how we're just dropping it in on the water. We're letting it sort of flow around. The petals don't have any water on them right now. We're letting that pen be detail in this. We've got that shadow coming in. I clean my brush by just squeezing some water out and wiping it off. And truthfully, I have never emptied a water brush. I just let them sit. And I've had a water brush that I found that had water in it from like 3 years ago. It's fine. It didn't grow anything inside the tube. The tube doesn't have, you know, you don't, it doesn't have a lot of air. It doesn't get the stuff down inside. Now, I want to get back to more of my straight yellow color. So I'm just picking up that dark yellow orange that's on there. That's a lovely mixed up color. And I see places out here where the shadows are. I'm going to go ahead and start using that color out on my petals. If you look at that reference, there's some places where it's a darker orangey yellow. Might as well use it. I did not get the petals wet. So this is wet on dry. The center was wet on wet. See? Maybe put a little bit more of that dark color right down here. Ooh, that's pretty. Those petals that are in behind. This is coloring. We are now coloring our picture. So, you know, you don't be fussed about making it perfect or looking like mine. Remember what I said? This is your painting, your drawing, your art. Nobody owns the copyright on a sunflower. If you drew it, as long as you're not copying directly, you know, like setting down a tracing and doing that type of thing, you know, then that would be stealing or copyright theft. But, you know, in general, sunflowers are so unique, and your sunflower will not look like mine because your hand is different than mine. See how I'm just bouncing around? Yeah, it didn't grow anything. That's my motto here. You know, if it's not green, if the inside of the tube didn't grow anything, it's not like I'm going to drink it. You know, and that's the other thing is, you know, art supplies. You don't drink your paint water. Don't lick your paintbrush. You never know what chemicals the paint manufacturer has used. I mean, if you're using children's watercolors, they tend to be non-toxic. It's not going to kill you if you accidentally lick your paintbrush or something. But golly, let's not. All right. So I am just getting more of that clean orangey yellow now. Maybe moving over and getting some of that lighter yellow into it too. You notice I don't keep my palette pristine. I let my colors kind of mix and mingle a little bit. When you're working on a dried palette of paint, you can do that. I would never take a paintbrush into a wet puddle of fresh paint and move from one to the other. I would always take some of the wet paint and move 2 little glops of it and mix over somewhere else. You don't want to mix your expensive wet watercolors and get your palette all messed up. But here, this is not messing up my palette. If I move color from one to the other, because I can wipe off the top. And it doesn't affect the whole pan. That's what I'm trying to say is, see how I'm leaving some white? It's just giving us those little highlights. I might glaze over some of those little white spots. See? I mean, really, sunflowers, daisies, all of those types of flowers that the color just goes in very, very intuitively. This is a very relaxing kind of thing to do. Relaxing painting, relaxing doodle. I like these colors that end up being a little bit muted, not totally perfect. Taking that dark orange back in, just on that center bit. And then I'm going to soften up that edge. So I wiped off my paintbrush. There's no fresh paint on my paintbrush. I just wiped it off so that way I can push the paint around a little bit. Excellent, Jan. I know you said that sunflowers are your sister's favorite. I am going to be doing carnation. I am going to be doing wild rose. So carnation is going to be on Wednesday. Sorry, Monday. Let's see. No, the carnation is Wednesday next week. The rose is Monday next week. Wild roses. Yeah. Oh, fun. Okay. So now I want to grab, I'm going to just let that sit for a little bit. And I'm going to grab some of that yellow and some of my darker blue. And get a nice green. And then I think I'm going to take a little bit of that orange. Whoops. The reference. I'm taking some of that green up into the orange too. It makes it a little bit more muted, a little more olive. So I'm going to put a little touch of that up in here. See? Doesn't take much. Now I want to get that stem. I'm going to go ahead and start with my most paint on my brush up here at the top of my stem where it's darkest, and then I'm going to drag the color down and just add a little bit of water from the brush. And just drag it down. Boom. So now we've got instant, easy shading. Most of this leaf here is in the dark. I've got a little bit of lighter green up here. And a tiny bit of it touching here. And then I'm going to take that sort of darker, I'm just grabbing colors. Make a darker green here. And because I put that wet paint for the lighter color on there first, it's going to blend. And it's going to give us that lovely little rim light there. So, woohoo! Oh, you've got your new paints in. Oh, guys, if you are interested in these paints or the papers or the brushes, Arteza has given me a coupon code good for 10% off your entire purchase. And I am really excited because they're starting to get some of their products back in. So Oh, and if you click on my link, it is an affiliate link. I do earn a small commission. It's another way to help my studio, help my channel. I'm going to glaze right over that. I will be putting some darker color right in there, but I just use what I have on my brush at the time. See? And I'm not worried about if this, ends up being one dark green blob. It's okay too. Ah, yes. Yes. So each month the code will change. It seems to be changing by one digit. So next month might be deliberately creative, whatever the next number is. So check in the comments, check in the description, see what the code is. And if it's like several months later, maybe add a few months to it and see if the code works, or just message me and ask me if I've got a new code. All right, I want to get a much darker, but I think the Deliberately Creative 11 is the current code. See how just dropping that in on that dark color in on the wet paint, it just gives us this lovely glow. Yes, I love the little watercolor books. Arteza makes a really nice, I like the cloth covered ones. Those are the little bit more expensive ones. But the ones that have the cloth cover, I really like the paper in those. Wow. Look at that. I think, because I didn't do it before, I want to make sure that my paintbrush is clean, so I'm just squeezing water out and making sure that the bristles are clean. I am going to get, actually, let's just use a regular brush for this part and some water. Okay, so my water sits here on my table. This is actually relatively clear, but I don't change my water very often because watercolor, the little solids will actually drip to the bottom. So I'm just going to work wet water? Water is always wet, isn't it? Well, unless it's dry. I don't know. I think there's something out there called dry water, but it could just be air. I don't know. What do you think? I'm going to put some blue in the background. So I'm just getting this wet. Oh yeah, Arteza does have a rewards program, so you can earn credits to use in the store. So cool. I think they have some different new things coming out soon too. I did get a pad of those watercolor paper frame. I'm not sure. I haven't ever used it. I saw Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter, use one where she did a watercolor and then folded it up. And it actually makes it look like it's a little stretched canvas. But you can unfold it flat, and I'm going back up and getting this top part wet again, because I'm talking and I'm taking my time getting the paper wet. Well, what can I say? Sometimes the air is dry. Sometimes you have to wet the paper twice anyway. I do have this taped down to a piece of plastic, corrugated plastic, like signboard plastic. All right, that's good. Now clean my blue off so it doesn't have any green on it. I forgot to put my phone in airplane mode. There. So now I'm going to pick up. Yes, they're Arteza brand. So, okay. I've loaded up my brush with this dark blue. Let's see, what's the blue? The blue is the Prussian blue. And I'm going to start here at the top. Let's see. It's going to get real dark right up here at the top. And then I'm going to keep working it down into that wet water, into the wet areas of my paper. I'm not worried if it goes onto my flower. So I'm just working this down, but I'm not adding any new paint to my brush. I'm just letting it flow down. It's nice to have a brush with a tip on it for this, with a nice fine tip, but a big brush. So this happens to be a number 12 Mimic by Creative Mark. I got it from Jerry's Artorama. Oh, be careful and make sure that those little water drops are wiped off the ferrule. And if you don't get a perfectly smooth effect going down, it's just like clouds, right? Maybe grab a little more water in my brush. You can take your time and really work this down. I'm being a little bit quick and sloppy, but sometimes that gives you more of a fresh look. And like I said, I don't mind if a little bit of blue gets onto some of these petals. Need a little more water in that. I'm just letting it work its way down. And I'm trying to keep the edge wet, but if the edge doesn't stay wet the entire time, I will get a little line. And I am not super proficient at the keeping that wet edge going down all the way. So this is practice for me too. I am a learner always. Even as I teach, I'm learning. Because if you're not learning all the time, you're stagnant. And if you're stagnant, you're probably not having fun. And, you know, I like to have fun. I like to enjoy the process. I like to share. And I love how my community shares their artwork with me. And I want to give back. So you guys share all kinds of learning and teaching with me. You know that, right? I learn from you guys all the time. I am not too worried about that. I like this sort of effect there. I think I want a little bit more. So one of the things that I am learning is that after you put down your paint up here at the top, you shouldn't touch it again. Because if you do, you're going to end up giving it more layers of paint, or you're going to end up taking paint off, or you're going to end up with, you know, those hard edges because you've disturbed the surface of the paint, which I did, and I'm trying to fix it now. But if it blooms, if it goes across and gives us some of those patchy areas, that's just light clouds in the sky, right? I am going to dry this. See how we feel about it. I think I'm feeling pretty good. Except that, you know what? I'm going to take my paper towel now. Boom. And I'm going to just touch some of those areas that I messed around with. Look at that. Now we've got some randomized background. Maybe a little bit cloudy. Maybe I want to lighten that up there now. So all I'm going to do is just get that wet. And so you can lift on this paper. Don't scrub. It will, it's not super durable, but it's pretty good. See, now we're getting texture up there. Ah, it's making me happy. All right, we're going to dry it. We're going to peel the tape off. I will sign it, and then we will see how it all looks. All right. So let's see here. Learn Something New journal. Absolutely a Learn Something New journal. That's where having these little folded books is so nice. Just taking one big sheet of paper, cutting and folding it to make it into one book. I do have a lesson on how to fold a book. If you're interested, that's in my playlist and on my page, my channel. Let's see. Good enough. The tape got popped up because of the heat. Ooh, look at that. And yeah, sometimes it leaks underneath of the tape. The watercolor does. This is inexpensive washi tape, so it's not going to tear my paper, but it also doesn't stay stuck down as well. So sometimes things leak. Let's go to taking that particular... let's take the reference off there. And look at that. Ooh. Let's see. Is that my good pen? Yes. I'm going to sign this. Like that. And we have made viewer requested sunflower drawn and watercolored. Woohoo! I hope that you guys had fun. I hope that you will try it and that you will join me on Monday for the Wild Rose, Wednesday for the Carnation, and like I said, the lavender is going to get worked in there somewhere. This has been a blast. Make sure and share this video with your friends. Leave me a comment and let me know if you have a favorite flower that I didn't have in my contest this time. If somebody, you know, votes up your favorite flower lots and lots of times, I might just do it. Did I draw this card just for you? I actually drew this card and it's going into my pile of cards for patrons. So I will be doing a drawing in just a couple days for probably 2 or 3 of my patrons to win a piece of artwork from me. That's something else I do. Here, let's go to this picture. Let's go to this one. So that's something else I do, guys. Oh, we don't need that on there, do we? We also, over on Patreon, have a special secret surprise where patrons get artwork from me in the mail. And sometimes we do actual drawings. If you're a paid patron for the month, if you're paid, then you're in the drawing. And I am going to put a limit that if you won in the previous 2 months, you can't win this month. I think that's fair. That way that gives everybody a chance to win before we start cycling back and throwing everybody's name back in. So, yay. Thank you so much. I really, really love this. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, share. Don't forget that you need to do something creative. Take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you. And I really want to see you back here again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.